All right, this lesson is on solving systems of inequalities. Systems of inequalities, they include two or more inequalities. The solutions will be a space rather than a single point. So it's going to be, the solution will be an infinite number of points. In order to solve systems of inequalities, you have to graph the functions in the system, and then the lines that you're using to graph the functions should either be solid or dashed. And once you graph the lines or the functions using solid or dashed lines, you need to then either shade above or below the graph, depending on whether you have a greater than or a less than symbol. And then you're going to repeat for all the functions. All right, graph the function, solid or dashed line, either shade above or below the graph. And then once you have all that shading carried out, then your solution is going to be where all the shadings overlap. All right, so let's take a look at an example. We've got two lines here in the graph and also in the work. I'm going to use red for the first inequality, and then I'm going to use blue for the second inequality. Right now, both of the inequalities are written in standard form. I'm going to transform them so that they are in slope-intercept form because it's easier to graph them once it's in slope-intercept form. So if we take the first inequality, we want to, in order to get it in slope-intercept form, subtract 2x from both sides. When we subtract 2x from both sides, we get y is greater than negative 2x minus 8. And for the second inequality, to get that in slope-intercept form, we need to first subtract x from both sides. Once we do that, we want to divide both sides by 4 to isolate the y. And we should get y is less than or equal to negative 1 over 4x plus 6. All right, so our first point for the top or red inequality, we should have a dot at negative 8 on the y-axis since that's our y-intercept. And then in our, you can see that the slope is negative 2 or negative 2 over 1. So from that point, we're going to go down 2 and over 1 and plot another point. Because we're running out of space at the bottom of the graph, instead of going down 2 and to the right 1, you can go up 2 and to the left 1 to graph another point on that line. And then if you look at the inequality, you'll see that there's no bar under the inequality. That suggests that we should be using a dashed line. All right, so that's the graph. And we have y is greater than negative 2x minus 8. And y gets greater as you go up, so we should be shading above that line. Do the same thing for the second inequality. Start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept for the second line is 6, so we should have a dot on the y-axis at 6. And then we take a look at the slope. Slope is negative 1 over 4, so from that point we should be going down 1 and over to the right 4 to plot another point. All right, and likewise you can go up 1 and to the left 4, and that line should be solid since there's a bar up under the inequality. And we have y is less than or equal to, so y gets less as you go down, so we should be shading below that line. And you should see that the space where those two shadings overlap, it's actually the space in between that dashed and solid line. All right, all the points, the infinite number of points in that space, that purple space, that space houses all the solutions to that system of inequality.